Now, Senator, you've got an extraordinary background. You served in Iraq with the 101st Airborne Division and in Afghanistan with the Provincial Reconstruction Team. Between combat tours, you served with the 3rd Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard at Arlington National Cemetery, which I've been to, which is a remarkable place. So a really commendable military career. And I wanted to ask you specifically about one part of what's going on in the world right now involving Russia's invasion of Ukraine and what the recently deposed British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said today about the nuclear threat which Putin keeps making.
I don't think he will. I think he'd be crazy to do so. What would happen is that he would immediately tender Russia's resignation from the club of civilized nations. It would be a total disaster for his country.
What did you make of that comment?
Well, I tend to agree with Boris. I know that Vladimir Putin has rattled the nuclear saber. We've seen no indication of him taking any kind of steps to use nuclear weapons, nor can we allow the nuclear threat to allow him to blackmail the United States or blackmail the West. I've got a new book out called Only the Strong, and I write about exactly this kind of threat throughout the Cold War. Ronald Reagan took a very strong, assertive stance against Soviet Russian communism, even though the nuclear threat then was just as dangerous as it is now. We have to be strong, we have to be resolute in the defense of America's national interests. And as you saw time and time again with Ronald Reagan, that kind of strength and resolution didn't lead to nuclear war, it didn't lead to World War III, it led to victory and success in the Cold War.
There are Republicans, it's quite interesting, I've just been in America actually, I went to New York, LA and talked to a lot of people. Republicans do seem a bit split about Ukraine and about how far America should be going to help the Ukrainians. Some Republicans bang up for it and think that they should be giving him whatever he needs, President Zelensky, to win the war, recognising perhaps the wider threat to the world, including America, if Putin was to win. But other Republicans, and I'm quite surprised about this, have taken a view that it's not really in America's interest to get involved in this conflict at all. What's your view?
Well, I think it is in our interest to support the Ukrainians fighting in their own war to defend their own territory. That's what we've been doing from the beginning. If we had done it earlier and if Joe Biden hadn't granted so many concessions to Vladimir Putin in 2021, I don't think he would have been tempted to go for the jugular in Ukraine in the first place. I go into great detail about this in Only the Strong. And when I'm traveling across Arkansas, when I'm traveling on the campaign trail across America, I hear that most Americans want to continue to support the Ukrainians who are fighting their own war. There is frustration. They don't think enough European nations are doing their part. Now, there are some weapons that only America has, that only we can provide. But when it comes to financial aid for the government in Ukraine, there's certainly a lot of nations in Europe that could be doing more to help pull their share of the load.
Finally, Senator, I was going to let you plug your book, but you've done that very comprehensively and very impressively, I must say, several times. I won't bother, although I'm told it's a great read. I do want to ask you, though, if, as is suspected, there's a red wave in the midterms next week, and I think it's pretty clear now that that is probably going to happen, there's going to be a lot of speculation about who will be the Republican candidate in the next general election in 2024, and your name is being thrown around with more gusto. Can you say definitively whether you would be interested in running to be president?
Well, Piers, I appreciate the question. I think I'll keep my focus on the election that's just a few days away rather than the elections that 2 years away. But I will say this, anyone running for president in the Republican Party who wants to help restore American strength and power in the world should get themselves a copy of Only the Strong and learn exactly how to do that.
You know what? If the presidential race is determined by somebody who can shoehorn the most mentions of their book title into one 8-minute interview, you, sir, are heading to the White House. Senator, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Piers.